When it comes to your career, there are three things that matter more than your experience. Now, that may sound counterintuitive or even strange because so many times when you interview, what the interviewer wants to know about is your experience. Why is that? Why do people use the past to predict the future? After all, if it wasn't possible to go beyond your experience, nobody would ever change careers. No one would ever get promoted to the vice president position, especially if they'd never worked as a vice president. But promotions exist, career changes exist, and that means that possibilities exist for you. My name is Chris Westfall. I'm a Forbes contributor and the author of 4 books, including Leadership Language and Easier. And in this video, I want to share with you those 3 things that can make a meaningful difference when you understand what's more important than your experience in the job interview. First of all, when people are curious about your experience, what they're really trying to do is to use the past to predict the future. And this is very common, at least according to my friend Carmen Simon. She's a neuroscientist based in California. And in her book, Impossible to Ignore, she talks about how the past is only useful in that it helps us to predict the future. And so, using the mantra of past performance is an indicator of future results, interviewers often inquire about your experience. But there's a deeper question beyond what is your experience. And that question is, can you help us? Can you help us? And so when you are speaking about your experience, make sure that you connect your experience to your interviewer, to the company, to the opportunity at hand, so that you are always speaking about how the past can be used to predict or at least indicate the level of service that you can provide in the future. The second thing that you have to understand that is more important than your experience is that people have the ability to change and adapt. Over the history of time, people have changed careers. People have started their careers in a certain direction, and then they've made a complete switch in a way that may not even seem to make sense. For example, I went from working in telecommunications into a career in the cosmetics industry. It was a big shift, to be sure, but the thing that allowed me to do that was something called transferable skills. In other words, the skills that I had cultivated and used and were a part of my experience were something that I could translate into service for my employer. So the second thing that matters more than your experience is transferable skills. And the third thing that matters more than your experience is your ability to communicate, your ability to share that service that you can create. The solution that you can provide is crucial to your success, because when you think about it, it's not really about your past experience. It's about the experience that you can create for your future employer. So consider how you share your story, because the story that you tell will teach people how to treat you, how to pay you, how to follow your ideas, and ultimately, how to hire you. Communication matters more than your experience. And in his book, The One Thing You Need to Know, Marcus Buckingham, who I admire greatly, says that leaders come in all shapes and sizes, but the one thing that all true leaders have in common is the ability to communicate. What is it about your story that is compelling, that inspires action? And how can you take your transferable skills and turn them into marketable results, using the past to help your employer predict or at least indicate the possibilities around you being a new employee? Focus on the way that you tell your story. And remember, there's a question that's more important than tell us about your experience. And that question is, how can you help us? My name is Chris Westfall. Thanks so much for watching this video, and good luck in your job search.